Hello and welcome to an all-new Marvelcast, Explosion Network's hub of all things Marvel, a place to talk about everything MCU and beyond, from Avengers and Defenders to Diamondback and Cottonmouth. My name is Ashley Hubley, your podcast host without fear, and joining me today is the astonishing Dylan Blight.
Happy to be here talking about how, for once, I'm okay with the superhero revealing their identity storyline.
Ooh, interesting. Let's just dive straight in, because today we're talking about the season finale of Daredevil Born Again Season 2. So please be aware we'll be freely discussing anything and everything about plot themes in any of the show so far. If you want to come back later. With that said, let's talk about Daredevil Born Again Season 2, Episode 8, The Southern Cross, directed by Iain B. MacDonald, written by Dario Scardapane and Jesse Wigutow. Dylan, what do you think of this week's episode?
Yeah, I really enjoyed the way they wrapped up the season, and I think ultimately the overall quality of this season, now that it's done compared to the first one, is night and day. Coming into it was sort of like, obviously, like it'll focus on the wrapping up the Fisk Daredevil storyline, and there's still continuation there, but I think this 2-season story, I guess, like from the May of Fisk storyline, I think I really enjoyed the way it played out. And we have talked about, I don't know what, when and where, but we've definitely talked about the whole superhero revealing their identity and how doesn't always work out, and then most of the time they end up doing some stupid storyline to take it back. Undo it. Look at Spider-Man for a good example. In the comics, there's multitudes of the storylines being undone. So, but here I really enjoyed it. I think the courtroom face-off between Daredevil and Fisk / Matt Murdock and everything, the dialogue there was really, really strong and some just fantastic moments. And the thing I like the most is, although you got to see some fighting, like Daredevil taking on some goons and Fisk just destroying people, I enjoyed that the ultimate showdown between the two of them was in the courtroom.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it as well. I think it was a really interesting balance of like this courtroom heavy confrontation, and then you do get you get your fill of like gratuitous violence as well in this episode. 2 hallway fights this episode, enough for everybody. Not oners, but what are you going to do? Yeah, I think it's a really interesting way that they've chosen to end the season. I'll admit, I forgot that I think we might have talked off air about the occulta photo that was he accidentally posted, but that I remember you mentioning that Matt was in a prison uniform. So I completely forgot that was a thing that was going to happen. So it was surprising in the moment.
We talked about it off recording because I said I would tell you because it's spoilers for the way this season was going to finish, and 3, direction that the next season was going to head. So
yeah. Mike Collar is back as Luke Cage, and definitely going to be there next season. Yeah, I thought it did a solid job of wrapping things up. I think there are like slight nitpicks here and there about it that we can get into as we talk about the episode, but I think as a whole it was very good and just does leave things in a very interesting place for season 3, whether or not you believe that Daredevil's going to show up in another major movie in between now and then. It's hard to say, but I thought it was pretty good. So let's talk about the episode, reading from No One Movie Resource, Wikipedia. As McDuffie is cross-examining Glenn, Murdock returns to court and summons Fisk for questioning on the Northern Star incident. Murdock presents Sava's video testimony, which implicates Fisk before publicly revealing his identity as Daredevil to collaborate the testimony and prove Fisk's abuse of power. The judges dismiss the case against Page. A lot there. I'll start off with, I feel like one of my gripes with this season is I feel like they've done the Heather storyline. She's the one who's talking on the stand at the start of this episode, obviously being cross-examined or whatever. She sees Matt for like the first time since he disappeared in the middle of the night, is how their relationship ended up, right? They were together until Karen showed up in the finale of last season. And he just left. And I don't feel like any of their relationship was ever resolved. So it's very weird when he comes up to the stand and starts asking Kirk a question about, vigilantes and people's masks. Even the line from her book and saying specifically, she like vigilantes will, their public mask will be the one they wear in public, or their real mask is the one they wear in public. Could be anybody, your boyfriend, your father, all those kind of things. I think. Did you get the impression Heather knew Matt was
No.
Daredevil?
No, I don't
No.
think she knew anything. Also, I didn't find it weird that the way they like their interaction, because ultimately he's shown back up during a court case. Like, it's not going to stop, be like, hey, how are you? Haven't spoke, sort of.
Also, this is someone he's used to be into it with, and then he's like ruthlessly like questioning her straight off the bat. And then the other thing is, we never see the reaction of Heather when she reveals his Daredevil. I thought that was an interesting missing shot. Whether this is something completely redeemed in season 3, like if they do some sort of flashback into the lead of her being used, which is the impression that you get based on the end of this episode. But yeah, I thought that was an interesting omission.
Yeah, they've definitely undercooked her this season after she was a prominent person in the first season. But I do think it's because they've just been, they moved it from A tier character, main cast, to sort of C tier, supporting, and she's going to move back up in season 3. As for the rest of the courtroom stuff, I think, the strongest, like, there's some just really, really strong lines and little subtle acting, like slight smirks from Murdoch when Fisk said certain things, and then obviously the back and forth line of, like when he says, but we both know that Daredevil's in this room. No, the way he catches him out and says, like, would fair to say you hate Daredevil or whatever, and you think he's a criminal or whatever. It's like, yes. And yet I saved your life. Would you call me a hero? Like, just the catching him out there. And then I think when he reveals himself to be, and turns around, does the Robert Downey Jr.-esque, I am Daredevil. I think there's like, amongst all that, there's a couple shots of Karen's face and like the way she's reacting with such sort of awe and I'd say like love towards him during all of that, that I really appreciated.
Yeah, and even Fisk, like his reaction, like he's gone down. He's lost this "you're a fool" thing he was holding over Murdoch. I guess they're like unspoken truce or whatever. I love the moment where Fisk walks into the courtroom, like everything slows down. Super.
They play that very they play the orchestral villain music.
Yeah, super intimidating, powerful. Gets to stand. Then you have the task force come in and look. It just ramps up the tension in the room. Like everybody can feel it. What else happens in this scene? I mean, the governor shows up in the middle of the questioning.
Lots of people make last minute sort of impactful, very disruptive entrances.
Yeah.
Obviously she shows up with Jessica Jones, so it's like,
as the judges came to the conclusion that this court was a sham. So but yeah, really interesting the way that they kind of played it out, legally, I guess, like for the most part. Like the epic conclusion wasn't solely concluded through violence, which I think
no, I think that's the main thing. Like they have a moment together, Fisk and Matt. It's Matt at that point. He's taking his mask off, but they have a moment at the end. But the ultimate showdown in this episode is on the courtroom stand, and with him doing something that I don't think Fisk ever would have predicted him to do, which was reveal his identity. Because he didn't think he ever would, because it means he's going to go to jail, presumably, and throw away his life. So I don't think he ever thought that he would do that as well.
Yeah. I also love the moment where Fisk is whispering in the witness box while Matt and the others are in the judge's quarters, just so Daredevil can hear. I'm like, come on, Matt, you know, he can't hear you.
Yeah. When he whispers back, I'm like, he can't hear you, dude. Like,
come on, just you don't have super speaking.
Mm.
Nearby, Dex takes out the AVTF officers.
Just quickly, because it was before this, but they've missed it in this. The only moment we get in reference we do get a reference later, but to your mate as to Fisk at the start.
Yeah.
When Buck comes in and Fisk asks about it. It's almost like Fisk was a little bit disappointed. And again, it's like everything the way he thinks that people are going to react and what they're going to do, and his ability to manipulate and get what he wants, is he just has people in the like between him not doing what he thought he would do, Daredevil not doing what he thought he would do. Like his whole thing is like he thinks he usually knows how to play people and get what he wants, but like over this course of these couple days, everyone doesn't do what he usually thinks they would be doing.
Yeah, I mean, also he is like saying throughout the episode he's like saying what people think they want to hear and delivering. That's why he thinks he can still maintain the power in the city despite themselves. I think it's also interesting because, as we discussed briefly at the end of last week, Daniel wasn't written to die or wasn't filmed to die at last week's episode. So I guess technically Buck would have probably said he killed him anyway. So I'm sure that scene didn't change much.
They probably just slightly edited something out or changed the dialogue slightly.
Change the look of that kind of stuff. But yeah, I've seen other people also like, Fisk didn't react to that news about Daniel. That just goes to show how much he really didn't really care.
I think he did react though. He reacted in the normal Fisk way of like disappointment in his face, followed up with a line of, I realize how hard it is now to be a mayor and rule people, which I took as him saying, man, it's hard to get people to do
what you
want that's best for them or something like that. I mean, that's how I took it. Old mate for a second thought he was going to take on Bullseye, and it was very funny.
Who? Yeah. I thought it was Buck in the costume.
Nah, Buck wouldn't wear a costume.
Well, no, it was meant to pretend to be Bullseye. And feign Bullseye, but
yeah. For a second, he like reaches for his gun or whatever, thinks he's going to be able to take him on. I like how he just boop, 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 takes him down piece by piece.
Yeah, just throwing knives all over the place, taking all these dudes out. And again, he misses Fisk. He's like, come on, Bullseye, you're meant to have the best aim, but you keep missing. Yeah, so then we get the lockdown. To lock down the courtroom as Daredevil supporters surround the building, AVTF officer Cole North betrays Powell and allows the protesters into the courthouse. Really cool sequence with obviously all these people like putting on Daredevil-inspired masks and hoodies and, balaclavas and those kind of stuff. We do get like a BB report where BB, I guess, reveals that she's the fake Fist this entire time. She also includes a picture of Daniel in her montage, like... So you just automatically assume Daniel's dead?
I assume that she is. I think she assumed there.
Yeah, she just
assumes correctly.
Well, yeah. I mean, he said, effectively he was kind of sacrificing himself. So that is what it is. Obviously, then we get Fisk. The governor tells Fisk it's all over. You should accept the deal that the Attorney General is going to have. And Fisk, like a petulant child, is very much refusing.
Open the doors.
I mean, yes, that's pretty much goes down to old mate, the lead prosecutor, trying to make a move on Heather. Didn't go down well for him.
Yeah, she is. I'm keen to see her and Buck's relationship continue because she's showing obviously affection towards him.
Yes.
And growing as a more violent person, which I assume Buck's going to like.
Yeah. All right. An enraged Fisk leaves the courtroom and slaughters numerous protesters while Murdoch, Jones, and Angela incapacitate AVTF officers guarding the building as both parties converge in the central chamber.
I mean, Fisk stuff was like watching Vader go ham in Rogue One.
Yeah, kind of. It was some of the most brutal stuff. Like, I know we've kind of established that he's like kind of strong.
He's a wrecking ball.
He's a wrecking ball, but the way he was like taking people out, just smashing anybody, any gender, didn't care. Equal opportunity beatdowns coming.
Mm-hmm.
The moment where he like pick someone up and slam them into the corner of a wall and like, I assume
some of those people dead.
Paralyze somebody.
Others are paralyzed.
So many.
Yeah, many have horrific injuries.
Absolutely. Meanwhile, we've got Jessica Jones and Daredevil like beating other people, all these task force people out. And then Angela comes popping through, little white tiger.
Mm.
Another thing, it's never addressed that, like, even in passing, like, oh, so you're wearing taking the mantle or whatever,
Oh, I don't mind that. Again, like, what's
I mean, that would have been a
going to
little on the
stop
nose, but
mid-fight to have that conversation?
just to acknowledge it, I think would have been nice. But
the other thing they choose to leave out this episode, which I thought was fine, was no more of the Jessica Jones power disappearing thing. It's like they did enough of that to put the pin
put the
in
doubt
it
in your mind.
and have that come back next season. But I think I was glad they didn't do that this episode, because I'm like, I get it. Like, I'm fine. I understand that that's a topic
It's a
for a
concern,
later
yeah.
time, but yeah.
Yeah, it's going to stop working at the most inconvenient time, and
Yeah, if you do it every
it just didn't turn out to be this time.
No, if you do it every time, I'll be like, okay.
Yeah. If it's failing that often, then you'd have to be worried. Was it? What do you think of Cole North, the burned guy, like turning on Powell in front of the courtroom? It's kind of out of nowhere a little
It was
bit.
out of nowhere. I didn't really. I don't think it was earned in particular, but was necessary for the plot. It was sort of like
Yeah,
it was writing for the plot rather than writing for the character, sort of thing. Is how that played out to me.
yeah, I think so too.
They wanted people to come in. They wanted a reason, but I didn't buy it.
Also, I don't think those police people would just let all these people into the courthouse. Just in general.
Yeah,
But
I don't know.
what are you going to do? Fisk attempts to make a final appeal to his constituents as protesters rush him, but Murdoch disarms the mob and persuades Fisk to accept a plea deal, exiling himself from New York. So yes, after starting a task force on a bunch of people, just slaughtering a bunch of people inside the courthouse, Fisk, rather than going to prison, leaves America. Which for a lot of Americans at the moment sounds like a good deal.
Yeah, well, like old January 6th insurrectionists, they come out on top, don't they?
Yeah, I've also enjoyed the slow acceptance, I guess. Daredevil trying to talk him into accepting that, we're both going down.
He
It's
got
not
him
gonna
with the
matter.
line about Vanessa. Is sort of what I think got him over the line. Like, would you either live on and be able to cherish her memory, or continue this fight forever and lose it, or
Yeah.
something or whatever?
Something along those lines, yeah. I also think it's interesting, the last time we see him this episode, he is looking at a beach similar to the one Vanessa was in, I think, end of season 1, maybe season 2, when Fisk goes to prison and she escapes to Europe or something. Yeah. What do you think? I know, forecasting a little bit. What do you think Kingpin's storyline is going to be next season? Because we know he's on set.
He's on set, yeah.
Yeah.
He's on set and he's got a beard. So
Yes. It's pretty good. Pretty good beard.
I really don't know. I'm going to stick to. I'm hoping he's not the main villain. Is what is my thing.
Yeah, I can't imagine him being the main villain. I suspect he'll have more like a B-C storyline, maybe.
Yeah.
Of like some sort of arc of him dealing with not being in New York or being
Because
just being a regular guy, I guess.
The other thing is he's on set. Doesn't mean the stuff they're shooting is necessarily in New York.
Yeah. He's filming with the crew, but doesn't mean he is interacting with every single other person on the show. But yeah, I'd be interested to see I don't know, maybe a whole season of him dealing with the grief of losing Vanessa. Or losing everything, I guess. Or he could just be puppeting things from the shadows,
Where's Echo?
To him eventually returning. What a shocker. Or maybe he's behind the hand.
That'd be wild, but
yeah, what if Kingpin is actually the main villain of A Brand New Day?
No, I don't think that's it. Although,
yeah, I think they've already established legally it's not allowed to happen for some reason.
It is very hard. It's really hard at this stage to believe that Daredevil is going to show up in Spider-Man again. I know you hinted at it before, but
really, he doesn't get broken out of prison for like a very short period.
I don't think he would leave prison is the thing. I think Matt's thing is he'd fight
Well, what
it
if the
legally.
hand go for him?
He would just fight him there. I don't think he would leave prison.
Well, maybe that is the prison they shot.
No, like I'm buying into in that shot of
It's a
Spider-Man
temporary
on the
part.
ground. That
Visitation.
Daredevil's there, but that's in a prison. I think the hand come for. I don't know. We'll see. I think at this stage I'm like, the hand, prison, Daredevil being in the movie for a short period of time at least makes sense.
Consequently, Murdoch is incarcerated for his years of vigilante activities as Daredevil. Wild. Obviously, we get that nice scene where in that restaurant that they went on their one date in the show on.
Mm-hmm.
That I believe they used new footage of, or they might have just used the Netflix stuff at the start of the episode. I don't know. But yeah, that's where he gets arrested. They get a nice moment. Jessica Jones reunites with Luke Cage, who was dismissed by Mr. Charles in favor of Dex. Interesting.
No, I like that because, I was talking about it last week. I was like, the Bullseye story's sort of done. And obviously he came back for a short period this episode. But that's fine by me because my whole thing is if he comes back and he's still trying to fight Daredevil or something, I'm like, I'm done with that for now. So moving him on to Dex and,
Mr. Charles, yeah.
Mr. Charles sets him up to potentially show up in other things. I mean, ultimately, it's like Bullseye gets his own direction.
Yeah, I think it could be very interesting depending on like how they want to do the what is Mr. Charles actually doing? What is this team of people that he's assembled
overseas
that Luke Cage was part of? Or was it just Luke Cage? I don't think so. I think it was probably more than him. So
International Avengers.
Some sort of Dark Avengers or something, like Secret Avengers. Just need to get more things with Avengers in the title out there. It's the only property for the MCUs that's selling tickets. So got to get the Secret Avengers, get the Young Avengers, New Avengers, Old Avengers.
That's just the normal Avengers at this stage, but
no, like the original Avengers. To bring them all back. Old Avengers. What else happens? BB is hired by the New York Bulletin for her work in uncovering Fist activities, while Glenn puts on Muse's mask.
Yeah, lots of just setting people in place for the next season in this montage.
Nice montage. Enjoyed the song. I don't know what it was, but it worked. But yeah, nice moment of BB. She's got a picture of Daniel on her table, so never forget the king. And then obviously they have given all these clippings of old Ben Urich articles and that kind of stuff. I don't know if it's the same editor from the Netflix show. I didn't really think to look.
I think so. I'll have to double check.
I think it's even the same office. Or it looks like the same office.
It looks exactly the same, yeah.
So, I mean, that's nice. I feel like she would have kept working it for herself. She's probably doing better in this climate, Doing your own news yourself rather than working for, mainstream media.
Just wants to follow in her father's footsteps.
I get. Yeah, Glenn with the mask. I think that's clearly setting up some sort of deranged arc for next season.
Yeah, I mean, the most interesting thing is obviously she puts the mask on and she sees herself as to her.
Yeah, that was a creepy shot. Like, obviously establishing the thing that she was talking about in her book.
Her own book, yeah.
The public face being the real mask and the mask they wear being their true self. Very interesting, very intriguing going into season 3. Dylan, do you have any other thoughts on this season or this episode before we wrap up?
No, really good. I enjoyed it so much more than the first season. Overall consistency and quality was so much better. I think it's probably one of Marvel's overall strongest seasons of any of their TV shows, to be honest. I think it would be up there.
Yeah, I think it was a really great season. I think, I think the first season obviously didn't have a cohesive creative vision because obviously they swapped people out after being filmed, but it did have like some fun, like one-off episodes that, we didn't really get this season with very much a streamlined, totally focused approach, which the people love, God forbid there's a quote unquote filler episode. That gets you to learn more about the characters. Actually, there was an episode like that. The flashback episode, I guess, was.
We had a flashback episode, yeah.
So, my bad.
It had like 10% new footage. It was an old flashback.
Yeah. All right, let's know what you thought of Daredevil Born Again Season 2 by going to explosionnetwork.com/follow and letting us know on social media. If you want to help us out here at All New Marvelcast, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or on Podchaser. Leave us 5 stars, and you can leave 5 stars or just tell people about the show. And if you want to help us out at Explosion Network with all our news, reviews, and other podcasts, head on over to explosionnetwork.com/support. Thank you very much for listening. Be sure to join us next week when we'll be discussing Punisher. One last kill. One of those.
It is one last kill, I believe.
One last kill. And also check out all our Punisher rewatch episodes that we're doing up on the podcast if you haven't listened to those already, where we visit all the other cinematic portrayals of the Punisher. And join us next time for another all-new Marvelcast.